Now, before you get too excited, Nicholas, I want to tell you a couple of things that might just give you a little bit of caution, okay? Now, my view is, even though I'm all in on the Donald, I'm not going to play the same game that your mob did about Trump going into 2016. No one is unelectable. A two-horse race, the other horse can win, always, all right? So don't take anything for granted in any direction, right? But what was interesting was in the surge of people who went out yesterday to vote for Donald Trump in a Republican primary where he's basically running against no one, right? He's getting 98% of the vote, and the turnout has been amazing, all right? Now, in Minnesota, which is a state that he only lost by 40,000 people at the last election, Nicholas, you should know this. Despite being an uncontested incumbent, President Trump managed to break several turnout and vote count records in blue states and swing states. In Vermont, Minnesota, Trump's vote total beat past incumbents' totals in the last 4 decades. So be careful about what you automatically count as lefty states when a state that he only lost by 40,000 has produced more voters more voters than Obama, Clinton, Bush, Reagan. 40 years of people who were willing to come out and vote in an election that didn't matter. Imagine how many turn out when it does.
Yeah, I mean, look, I would be careful about over-interpreting that, Paul, because you know, Donald Trump is a real red meat type politician, so he attracts a particular type of voter, dare I say, a noisy type of voter. And so when they get
2.0.
turn out,
Deplorables
they do.
2.0,
I mean,
yes.
you know, I'll tell you what,
Not quite nice people, are they?
Let me tell you why Joe
Not good enough
Biden
for
is
your
going to
lefty
win,
mates.
right? Because many quiet Americans, that sensible middle America, is going to vote for him. And it's not just me saying that. Let me just quote you
Nicholas,
here, Paul.
You cannot claim that phrase.
Let me just tell you what the polls are saying, okay? So you go...
Oh, because they were so right about Joe Biden in Texas.
So this is Biden versus Trump. Biden's got a 9-point lead. CBS News,
national
they're
polls.
giving Biden
National
2
polls.
ABC 7. Fox News? Fox News?
Yeah. Yes. Yep. National polls, the election is in November. Come back to me with swing state stuff. If you can Google that quickly for me, feel free. But none of that has happened post-Super Tuesday. None of that has happened around conventions. None of that's happened around debates. None of that's happened around Bernie Bros throwing the toys out of the cot Campbell.
Paul, the issue with the Trump supporters and some of these so-called deplorables is they're not going to speak to pollsters. And
noisy voters. Noisy voters.
Yeah, they're not going to speak to pollsters. They're going to put the phone down.
Correct.
They're just ready to go out with a baseball bat and club Biden. And the other thing is there is another class of sort of voter in there that doesn't want to tell the truth. Yeah, they're not going to admit they're voting for Trump. But you know what? They're going to turn up and vote for him. Yeah.
Bronwyn, am I over-interpreting the noisy people? But what does it say if more people vote for the incumbent president in 40 years in a state that he only lost by 40,000 votes?
Oh, it's a very meaningful statistic, and you're quite right. Nicholas, your comments were quite disparaging of the people who vote for Mr. Trump,
Correct.
President Trump. And that's exactly what Hillary Clinton did. And it's typical of the socialist left that they have no regard, no respect for ordinary people. It's all about the elite governing in their own interests.
I'd love to know what you think of people who voted for Scott Morrison. Are they the loud, noisy Australians?
No, you heard it here first. The quiet Americans are going to elect Joe Biden president.